And what I'd like to now do is to introduce Jonathan Christensen, who is the founder and CEO of Wire. So if you could give me 1 minute to get the Skype connection set up, because Jonathan is a remote presentation. So bear with me for a minute, and I'll just get him set up.
Okay, great. Yeah, I don't have any slides, but I have some notes, and I really want to comment mostly on the motivation behind Wire. You know, why at this stage of the game did we decide to get back into the very, very crowded market communication space? So I'll just reflect back a little bit and then talk about the things that I think have changed and provided that motivation. Okay, great. So I was saying that in 1999, I was at an early Vaughan conference, and I made this observation that the IM networks had actually defined the new telecom. They were offering rich, flexible services to tens of millions of people, connected users globally. So totally radical shift in communications that was happening, you know, outside of committees and on the internet. You know, the protocol guys there looked at me and then just went back to arguing about SIP and MGCP and all that stuff. You know, and the standardization process goes on and whatever. But in 2003, Skype made this perfectly clear. Everything, absolutely everything at the application layer is going to happen outside of the committees. And it happened, especially with Skype, this peer-to-peer network, in a totally unexpected way. So for the first time ever, we could make a free long-distance call from any broadband-connected PC. And 5 years later, there are millions of people texting for free on WhatsApp, right? So this is the first generation of internet communications. And I think that this first wave is at or near the end, because free is now absolutely just the baseline. Google just a couple weeks ago announced unlimited free photo storage, for example, for any Android user, I guess. So the question for us, and as we got into this thing, was where do we go from free? What's next for the user, for the provider, and this is basically how we defined the mission at Wire. And we looked around to see what's changed, what's different in the landscape, and absolutely the biggest change is the computers, right? The computers are mobile. In 2003, I had a BlackBerry with a grayscale screen, you know, at the beginning of the Skype revolution, and a GPRS network modem in it. In 2007, I had this phone. This is a first generation iPhone. It still works. It's pretty cool. It had, or still has, 154,000 pixels and edge network on it. But you know, looking at this device, we've got iPhone 6 with 2 million pixels. It's got 2 billion transistors. It's 50 times more powerful than the first one. So I calculated that I'd need an iPhone 1 that's 24 inches thick to equal the power of my iPhone 6. So a lot going on there. Another big thing, though, is the network. So the second generation iPhone, the iPhone 3G, had 3G modem in it. And this is basically the first opportunity to do web on devices. Basically, we can surf the web without being connected to a Wi-Fi network. And now we're getting to LTE. So speed goes from 2 megabits to 50 megabits, and with a lot lower latency. So there's a study I read recently that said that the round trip time of the top 4 US carriers went from 145 milliseconds to 80 milliseconds. So that's almost half in terms of latency, and that makes a big difference for call quality. And in addition to latency, there's the continuity issue. So this is kind of measured in how well do the cells hand off. The cell handoff targets went from a car on a freeway at 70 miles an hour to a train moving 250 miles an hour. But the real effect of this, as I'm driving around in the Bay Area or wherever, and I'm on a wire call, it's much more likely that the network is going to support the call. There's also this massive change in the last decade in how we build this stuff. So the servers in our private data centers have moved to shared, on-demand, global, super, super cheap and accessible cloud, where you can use any programming language, you can deploy in almost any geography, and you've got all these ready-built tools for scaling, management, monitoring. And the net effect of that is that you can do this exponentially cheaper and much, much faster. So all of this is like this landscape of potential, and we're excited to see how we can take advantage of it. And I also believe that it disadvantages the legacy providers further. So they're entrenched in their existing business models, these architectures that are outdated, and this adds further opportunity for new entrants, for all of us to go and do great things. But what are the practical things, the visible things that we see as we move the conversation beyond, just free? And so the first one is fidelity. Starts with things like HD call, really nice HD call quality, but it extends to all the media. So photo resolution, inline media. We embed music, video, GIFs inline in Wire, and there'll just be more and more of that trend for fidelity in the applications. The second thing is integration. So from a standalone kind of tool or something you build all yourself to integrated services, so service-to-service integration. When innovation happens outside of your service, you don't have to get upset about it. You don't have to try to copy it because it probably has an API, so you can integrate it. An example of this, again, is how we put Spotify and SoundCloud in Wire, and there'll be a lot more of that service-to-service integration and a lot more opportunities for that kind of stuff. And then the third thing is seamless mobility across your devices. It's not a PC world anymore, or it's not the post-PC era either. It's about every device having a relevant way to participate in the conversation. So a 5-inch phone, your 10-inch tablet, your 30-inch computer. And the one that's really hard for me to get my head around still is the TV. It's not clear to me how or when the TV becomes part of the conversation and becomes relevant in comms. We did a lot of experiments at Skype, putting Skype on TVs. We got very, very little uptake. And the final one, the fourth one, is it's about security. It's about security and data privacy. So we live now in post, what they call the post-Snowden era. But there really is growing awareness about the importance of privacy and data security. While the governments are making all these rules, the technology is moving way faster than the rulemaking. And here at Wire, when we look at this and we think about it, we think that the technical layer is not enough. For example, encryption isn't enough. Security has to be part of the structure and of the company. So for any feature from inception, we think about security. We get stuff verified by external audits. We hire experts and consultants to help us with this stuff. And it's even more than that. It's also about your company structure. So where are you? Under what jurisdiction are you? Under what governance is your data available? Where is the data physically? For example, we decided to put our data in Europe and have our headquarters in Switzerland, where they have very, very good data security and privacy regulations. So those are the four big things that provided the motivation for starting Wire. And we're just at the beginning of the mission. We just, it's like, I don't know, it's like a rebirth. And you start just piece by piece and putting it together. Yeah, and to me, the future is unwritten. I think we all have an opportunity to do amazing things in the next 5 years, 10 years in the communication space, and it's going to change more in that period of time than it's changed over the last 20 years. And that's my notes.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Jonathan. A round of applause, please. Do we have any questions from the audience for Jonathan? Just looking around.
And the next time we do this, we're not going to be using Skype.
Absolutely. I made the comment to Jonathan, oh yeah, we can do that next year. And Jonathan was like, it's not going to take a year to get that set up. So we've got at least a timeline for when we're going to see video on there. So thanks so much, Jonathan. That was an excellent presentation. So do we have, oh, okay, great.
Thanks for your talk. I'd like to ask you, what do these technologies mean for traditional mobile phone operators?
So Alan, you'll have to come and speak into the. Yeah. Well, as I said, I think that they're further disadvantaged. And despite all of the attempts to define new standards at the application layer, nothing has happened, and it happens ad hoc in the wild. And my example of Skype, while everybody was busy discussing these standards, Skype just happened and took 40% of all the global long distance traffic with it. So yeah, I think that trend only continues.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. Any other questions for Jonathan? If not, again, let's have a round of applause for Jonathan's giving us his time over the weekend. Thank you so much, Jonathan.
Thanks.
Take care, and we'll speak to you soon.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Bye-bye.
Bye.